with a show of hands, who here has ever lost someone close to them?
Lost
Yes.
to the
Someone
another
close to
world?
them.
To another world?
Thank you. So who here has never lost anyone close to them? No one? Okay, I was going to say you're really lucky. So my name is Jennifer Dabu. I'm a licensed acupuncturist with DoAcupuncture, and I have over 10 years in the health and wellness industry. And as I go through my presentation, I'll go into how I got into that. So I wanted to thank you all for listening. I know you all want to eat your lunch. And my job here is to really just share with you some information that hopefully is helpful for you. So the topic I'm going to talk to you today is about Chinese medicine and our emotions and how that affects our health. Is that okay? You want to hear about that?
Yeah, because I'm a very emotional person. You're Daisy and I'm emotional.
There we go. So
She's videotaping this.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So I first want to apologize. I had a whole other presentation prepared. I wanted to spin off my last month presentation on digestion and talk about some things like the probiotics and digestive enzymes. So yesterday I got some really bad news that one of my favorite yoga teachers and friends had passed away unexpectedly. So I want to thank Sonia for taking over my recorder duties because my mom's not really here right now.
I'm sorry.
Off 2 hours sleep. And I'm using my notes because again, brain's not really here right now. So, you know, my friend, he was only 44. He's newly married in April. Him and his wife have a baby coming in January. And it really reminds me that life is short, life is precious, and we really shouldn't waste our time doing things that we don't love or taking it for granted. And what it also reminded for me was how I got to my purpose in life. And those of you that have heard my story before, my best friend had passed away unexpectedly about 11 years ago. And for me, my health just went, right? Can anyone relate to that? They've had stress or something's happened to them and they've noticed that with their health. And so for me, I had skin issues, I had severe acne, I started having digestive issues, I had women menstrual issues beyond anything I can ever want to go through again. Insomnia and a whole list of other things. I was feeling really bad. And I would go to the Western doctors and they were always trying to prescribe me a pill. And it didn't help. Not only didn't help, it also made it worse. So when I found acupuncture and Chinese medicine, that's what really started to not just help me improve, but it really changed my life so much that I decided to go from electrical engineering into studying acupuncture and Chinese medicine. Okay. So one of my favorite parts about Chinese medicine is that it treats and it addresses the emotions. And standard medicine, it doesn't do that. So if you go in with stress, anxiety, fear, or even sadness, what do they usually prescribe you? Xanax, Valium, or something even stronger, but it doesn't really get rid of it. And once you're off that medication, you still have those conditions, plus maybe side effects that come with that. And with Chinese medicine, all of our emotions affects one specific organ. So today I'm really talking about grief and sadness. So can anyone guess, wildly guess on what organ systems are related to grief?
Stomach.
Stomach? Close. Liver? Not liver. The heart, spleen, not kidneys. The lungs.
Wow.
It affects your lungs.
Wow.
So in Chinese medicine, each of the organs not only have their Western function, but they have other functions associated with it. So one of the functions in the lungs in Chinese medicine is that it controls the opening and closing of pores. So how did that affect me per se? Is it showed up on my skin. And I had really, really bad acne. I still have scars from it. And I'd never had it before, and nothing was really helping, but that's how the emotion and that stress manifested for me. Okay? Has anyone ever had stress and their skin just breaks out? That sucks.
Eczema.
Right? Eczema, psoriasis, hives even. And another thing that happens with grief and sadness with the lungs is, well, it affects the functions of the lungs. So as I started practicing, I would get patients that would come in and say, oh, I have adult onset asthma. And my question would be, well, how long have you had it? 3 years. Okay, and they never had it as a child, Nothing ever happened before, just 3 years ago. So guess what my next question was?
What happened 3 years ago?
Who did you lose 3 years ago? And almost always, without fail, they will start crying on my table. And not that I like to see people cry, but they've been holding in that grief for so long that finally they were able to release it. And usually these are the caregivers of their families or the people who are responsible for everything.
Try not to cry.
And I don't focus in those cases, I don't focus on treating the lungs, I focus on treating that grief and letting it out. And then that's when the asthma starts to resolve. That's pretty amazing, right?
Yes.
So, another emotion is fear. Anyone have fear? You're scared about your finances, your relationships, your work. What's going on? So the main organ system that's related with fear is, any guesses? You didn't mention it in the first round. Not the intestines, not the stomach. Kidney, perfect. So your kidneys control your low back and your knees. So what a lot of people will find out when they're fearful about something, maybe something's going on with their life, their work, whatever, they start to get this just low backache and knee pain. And almost always, a lot of times it's associated with some kind of fear. And the beautiful thing about Chinese medicine is that it addresses those emotions. So when I come here and I ask in my 30-second presentations, great leads for me are people with pain and with headaches or who have stress or whatever it is. I'm really only touching the surface of what Chinese medicine does. And I'm not going to go, oh, so if you know about some anxiety or fear, why don't you know, no one really thinks of that. But when people come in to see me and they have whatever pain it is or whatever digestive issue it is, I'll start asking questions, and those of you that have seen me, you know I ask a lot of questions.
Yeah.
Sure do.
I like that.
A lot of questions. And I'm trying to see what's going on in your life, what other things are affecting you, because it's not just how you're eating if you're not exercising, but what's going on in here and what's going on in here.
Right.
And the longer that we take those emotions and we stuff them in our little pocket, they don't go away. We just stuff them in deeper and deeper, and then what happens? Who's heard that phrase, the straw that breaks the camel's back? Right?
The last
All
drop
heard
in
that?
the land.
And so for me, it was my friend's passing that broke, not my back, but the camel's back. And that's what I get to do when people come in, not just treat whatever their outward condition is, but take a look at if they're willing and if they're open, because not everyone will talk about it, but what's going on emotionally, so that it doesn't keep getting stuffed in to come out later like a disaster with me. Make sense?
Can you share a little bit about your friend who died? Why did she die?
Well, we need to see what the time is.
So she has 2 minutes.
Okay.
So my best friend Joy, 11 years ago, she died in a car accident. And she was driving cross country, fell asleep at the wheel, wasn't wearing a seatbelt, and got tossed out of the car. So please wear your seatbelt. I know it's the law, but it can definitely save your life. And my friend, the yoga teacher, they haven't put out all the information yet. I know what happened, but it was basically natural causes and unexpected. So, yes.
I just want to say that when I went to see her, it was at a time where it's probably been about 6 months or a little less, but my mom's passing was very recent, and so she did ask me a lot of questions, and I opened up, and it really helped to allow her to help me to heal. I really appreciate that. And then also I was listening about how we have a memory cell, how things happen as we're children and growing up. There's this memory cell that we tend to retain. So what she's saying, the memory pocket, don't allow those emotions to be in that memory cell, so that hurts your body, your system. Thank you.
Yes.
Now, I have a 16-year-old, so is her age a good age for, now that you talk about some of the things that I think she's going through, her acne, we were just going through that, and I said, it seems like every 2 months we go to the doctor and they give her all this medicine. And her body's getting used to that medicine, and I'm afraid that maybe you can treat her? I mean, is 16 at that age with the hormone ragginess, is acupuncture good for her acne?
Any age is good.
She treated my daughter.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, but you know how kids, you know, at that age, they want to have, I don't know if, it's hard for me to explain. They go through all these products, they see all these products, and, you know, so.
So,
At
any age it would be helpful. I mean, they've treated babies up to adults into their 80s and 90s, so it can help for anyone. We don't just start having emotional issues when we get into our 30s or 40s. We could be traumatized as children when we're 3.
Right.
And
Before
carry
we're
that
born.
on in our life, exactly. So any time's a good time to start.
Thank you. So she'll be,
Do you take insurance by any chance?
I'm in network with Blue Shield, and I do accept some out-of-network plans. So what I'll ask is just for the person to give me their information, and then I'll have my insurance biller check the plan and see what's covered. Thank you all for listening and bearing with my.
thank you.